Welcome to Garage Bible Study. My name is Brian. Today, we're going to see how Jesus was on a personal growth track. Yeah, that's right. Jesus personally grew. That may really freak some of us out because the scriptures teach that Jesus was God himself. And how could God actually grow? How can something that is pure become more pure? How can be something that is completely holy become more holy? Wait, was Jesus God or is he man? Yes. The exact theologically correct definition is that Jesus is fully God and fully man at the same time. So he's got components of him about divinity, components about him about masculinity or manhood or personhood or humanhood. Now, that does not mean that he has what you and I have as areas of sin in our life. Doesn't have that, but he has undeveloped areas in his life. At least that's what the Bible teaches. Last week I had a lot of fun talking about a story that doesn't get a lot of airplay where Jesus was basically bumming out his parents and staying behind while they were off and away, and he was separated from them for 3 days, which is kind of crazy. Like, gone for 3 days as a 12-year-old. What did he do for 3 days? How did he eat? Where did he sleep? All that kind of stuff. Really, really wild. And his mother was chastising him when she got back. Like, what have you done to me and your father? Look how you've caused us to be distressed. And then they've missed the plot of what Jesus' life is supposed to be. They're trying to prepare the very Son of God for his mission. And he chooses to be in the temple, Jesus does, and get learning and get instruction. And Mary and Joseph get bummed out that he wasn't with them. They start to be a bit too overprotective. Not that you're a whack parent if you get freaked out about not seeing your kid for 3 days. But Jesus kind of gently chides them and said, hey, don't you know, I'm in my Father's house. Right after this interaction happens is a couple verses that I want to spend the rest of our time on today. It comes from the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 51. Actually, I'll start at 50. It says this, and they did not understand the saying that he spoke to them. They didn't understand why Jesus was in the temple and why he said he had to be in his Father's house. My Father's house? Wait, I thought this was Joseph is your father. No, God is his father. Or do they interpret it some other way? They're just confused. But then it goes and says this, and he went down with them, and he came to Nazareth, and he was submissive to them, and his mother treasured up all these things in her heart. So Jesus goes back to the home with them, Nazareth. He's called Jesus of Nazareth. And he was submissive to them. Parents, if you're a parent, it is a good thing to train a submissive child. When I hear parents say they want to allow their children to discover their truth and discover who they are and discover right and wrong. Yeah, they discover. You know how they discover it? You tell them what is right and wrong. You tell them who they are. You tell them what they are. You give them an identity and you build that into them. Jesus here got that from Mary and Joseph. They weren't always right, as I just mentioned, but parents are going to be right way, way more times than kids are, and that's why kids need to learn how to be submissive. Jesus himself, he was submissive to Mary and Joseph. Man, how great would it be to have him as a kid? That'd be amazing. I mean, you might just choose to never have birth control and just keep popping out kids if every kid was like Jesus. He was submissive to them, and it says that Mary treasured up all these things in her heart. What's she treasuring up? This is at the end of Luke 2. There's a lot of stuff here in Luke 1 and 2 all around Christmas. She's treasuring up how she gave birth and put Jesus in a manger. Is she treasuring up how an angel came to her and put the divine seed inside of her, however God did that? Is she treasuring up all the memories of where their family has come in the last 12 years? Because this is now 12 years old, Peter is, or Jesus is. Or is she treasuring up how Jesus is submissive? Yes, I think all of that. And then here's the killer line that shows that Jesus had a growth track. And if you want to be like Jesus, you're going to want to do the things Jesus did, which includes being on a growth track. Here's what it says in verse 52. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. So if Jesus is increasing, then he's on a growth track. He's not the same Jesus today as he was yesterday, and he's not going to be the same Jesus tomorrow as he is today. His increasing in wisdom and stature, I don't think stopped when he was 12. I don't think it stopped when he was 30. I don't think it was stopped when he was 33. Now, increasing in stature, his physical stature, if that's what it's talking about, it could be talking about his stature, about his public persona, and people understanding who he was. Well, I don't think it's that, because there would be more about that from when age 12 to 30 happens. I think that part is about his physical stature. So it just makes sense. If Jesus grew physically, part of that was the natural biology, we grow. Part of it, I don't know, did Jesus do push-ups? Did he do pull-ups? Did he do cardio? A lot of that they didn't have to do because it was a much more physically active culture and society. We just don't know, but all we know for sure is Jesus grew physically, and this verse indicates at the same time he grew intellectually. Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature. And we have this really weird idea that we have my intellectual life, and I have my relational life, and I have my physical workout life, and I have my family life, and I have my job life, all these different sectors. The Bible doesn't understand those sectors. It just knows these things as life. And our spiritual life is not a separate segment of here's when I go to church or here's when I watch GBS. My spiritual life is how all these different sectors are being influenced by the wisdom of the Scriptures and the wisdom of God. That's our spiritual life. Not how many Bible verses we know, not how often we go to church, but how the wisdom of God infiltrates all of those areas, and Jesus was regularly growing in that. And what happens when a person grows in wisdom and in stature? This is the really crazy fun part for me. And in favor with God and man. I started looking at Jesus grew in favor with God. It says that God increased his favor with Jesus. Now, this could be a little destructive. Before I started digging into this, I thought, oh, wow, this could really be depressing, because based on how well I do every day spiritually, does that mean God grows in love for me or decreases in love for me? Because if so, every day is pass-fail, and that's just an ominous aspect of slavery. I want to tell you, that is not the way it works. The cross is all about Jesus earning us the approval of God, and earning us the love of God, and earning us eternal salvation and eternal presence with God. So your standing with God is not dictated based on what you do or don't do on a day-by-day basis, but yet your favor with God. The word here for favor, as I looked this up, is the word from which we get grace, which is charis in the Greek. Here the exact word is charitai, but it's the same word, charis, is a different form of it. And so it says here that Jesus grew in grace before God. Grace can be a synonymous thing with the favor of God. This isn't the kind of grace or charis that is saving grace. That's the grace where God comes to us and saves us and we're able to get to heaven. But there's other aspects of the grace of God. It says that God causes the sun and the rain to fall and rise on the just and the unjust alike. This is a form of grace, that we have sunshine, that we have rain, all this stuff. There's grace that you get that gives you unique spiritual gifts, and I get unique spiritual gifts that you don't have, and they're just different. There's opportunities that you have that I won't have, and there's opportunities I have that you won't have. This is based on the grace of God. And this says that Jesus grew in favor with God. So it is possible to get more grace from God. Is this works righteousness? No. Is this I must work in order for God to bless me? No. But just like any parent knows, the more obedient their child is and the more their child is growing, the more we naturally pour things on our kids. The more they see us smile, the more they hear us laugh as opposed to trying to buckle down on them, the more open we are to blessing them with things. Like my kids are amazing because I got 3 kids. They're amazing. And man, I keep thinking they all got jobs. They're all doing good right now. And I'm going to stop paying for vacations. I'm going to stop. I sold my son my truck at a total screaming deal. I thought, oh, no, if he and his wife got good jobs, and I'm gonna have them pay Blue Book value for it or whatever I'll get up for it in Facebook Marketplace. And I go through these things, and because my kids are so good at age 22, 27, 29, and they grow still, they're spiritually growing, I grow in my favor towards them, and I want to be more generous to them, and I want to give them more of myself. I'm not God. But I think as an earthly father, God as a heavenly father, there's a metaphor that's there for a reason. You can increase in favor with God. There's unique possibilities that you can have, but only if you're increasing in your wisdom and stature, only if you're on a spiritual growth track. And in fact, it also says in favor with God and man. And man. We all know that as human beings, men and women, when people are in the right spot, they always get our best. And so it equates here God and man. So we're not all that far off from God. I'm just saying this to try to pump you up here. Friends, it's New Year's is right around the corner. It's Christmas right now. It's great. I love Christmas. Great. Let's squeeze all the life we can out of Christmas. But also recognize that Christmas tells us that Jesus was the person who had an infinite trajectory of growth and growing in the favor of God. And let's get ready for a new year, and let's get ready to have some sort of growth plan, not because it's just the right thing to do, but because I want to grow in the favor of God. I want more favor from God. That's not selfish. That's downright spiritual.